Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Pepper.
And today we're going to be giving our first impressions of Flamecraft, which has been a pretty hot game, I would say, over the last. It's probably been about a year now, I think, if not longer.
Yeah.
It's been pretty much hot
Cool.
ever since it came out, and it hasn't cooled down one bit. Maybe the only game hotter is Heat.
Yes.
Wow. Did he go there?
He went there.
But yeah, this is a game that I think we kind of both been interested in to at least try out for sure, and we'd probably been tempted to get it as well. Didn't ever end up getting it. My brother and sister-in-law actually bought this one at Gen Con because I think they got inspired when it won some Dice Tower awards. So it's a Dice Tower award winner. Not surprising for how hot it's been. And the cute artwork, of course, helps.
Yeah.
I think the game was maybe made around the cute artwork versus the other way around.
Maybe,
in this case.
maybe, yeah. But it's so cute. It's such cute artwork. I remember this is from Cardboard Alchemy, which I think Peter Vaughn kind of went. He was involved in breaking games and making Dwellings of Eldervale or something like that, and huge fan of that game. So I kind of must have subscribed to some newsletter. Somehow I got notified that they were making this company, and then I started seeing images of this artwork and the dragons and the cover, and I'm like, oh, that is such a good looking game. So I was immediately interested just based on artwork, and it is surprising that it hadn't entered our collection. I think the big thing for me was I was like, oh, there's deluxe version and regular version. I'm like, oh, I like very nice things, and if I'm already attracted to it because it's nice looking, I'm probably more tempted to upgrade to a top tier pledge. And this is not that, but when we played, I'm like, this is still really, really deluxe. And this does not feel like a retail game.
Right. And they actually bought Trekking Through History as well, which is also a
That
really
is
deluxe
also,
game.
yeah.
But not, they didn't buy a deluxe version, but yeah, two of their purchases were very deluxified from the start. Which, it's always nice to see that. But yeah, I think maybe the thing that, and maybe you were thinking something different, but I was thinking the thing that maybe got us to, the reason it never entered our collection was thoughts or hearing that it might be lighter than what we were used to, and then like you said, if you would have wanted deluxe, I don't know how much that was, if it was like $70 or $80, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's a light game. Is it worth that much then? Because I don't know how.
I mean, if
replayable
it's going to
and
be your light game, like the one that you have.
Right.
But if we do already have so many that kind of have those mechanisms that are at that same level, is it going to be worth paying that extra for this really deluxe version of a game that kind of fits into a group of a dozen or so in your collection?
But yeah, so we did finally get a chance to play it, got our first play in, and I would say it was definitely not as light as I had originally thought it was going to be. It's definitely got some interesting choices, some good choices, because it's really, I was going to say worker placement. It's not really worker placement. It's action activation. I don't know what you'd even call it. Action selection, is it? I don't know. It's kind of that.
Kind of
you
a
kind of
mix
know what you're
things.
doing. It's a good mix, but it's just got some unique things all happening. So you kind of go to one of the locations on the board, and then based on that, you have two options, but one of your options you can collect the resources of things that are already there, and then you can trigger a dragon there. And there's is it 5 or 6 different types of dragons, and each color has a different action that it can do. Which at first, when I didn't know that they were all the same, I was like, oh god, that text is small. That's going to be tough to see what all these individual dragons do. But then I realized that, all of them are this way.
They have
all
unique artwork
so luckily
and
it's
names, which for the cutes factor.
Right.
But their effect based on their color is the same throughout all of them.
Which was good, because otherwise it would have been very much hell to be keeping track of what did what. So once I realized that, I was like, okay, this is Cause I was really worried at first. I was like, oh boy, how is this light? Gotta look at a ton of different options here, but
Yeah.
you did not have to do that. And then you could play a dragon if you had one of a certain type that it had to be
Yeah.
and get some reward. So there was just a lot of things you'd get to do with one action, or you'd go to a spot and then kind of enchant
Yeah.
something if you had the resources for it,
Yeah.
and then you get some points. That's kind of probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, way to get points in the game
Yeah.
is doing that, where you just have to collect resources and then be able to contract fulfill, pretty much is what it's doing, and getting points for that.
Yeah. I thought this game was just so rewarding because every time you go to those locations, you're
they get
making
better
them
and better.
better. Usually making them better, unless they're maxed out, in which case you're already getting a ton. So you, like you said, you can go to the location, you gain the resources for all that are showing at the location, which most of them have a base resource that they have there and a starting dragon that's already there, which will give an additional resource. And each dragon that you add gives an additional resource there. And like you said, enchanting, when you do that and add that to a location, that's adding another resource that you would then gain if you went there to gain resources. And when you do that, like you said, you can then play. My initial thought is to always say dinosaur, but they are dragons. They're not dinosaurs, but that is the word that wants to come out of my mouth. So I'm sorry if I say that. I probably said it already. But yeah, when you play the dragon there, you get a reward immediately, and you already got all those resources, and you get to fire off a dragon. And when you enchant, you get those points for doing that, and you get to fire off every dragon there. And I thought all the abilities felt like there was a time when you really wanted them, whether it's to go and get more dragons or to get a ton of resources.
Right.
And there's one that can swap out with anything else in the port, so you can pretty much, that's a wild, you can choose anything. Right. And some of the locations had unique effects that you could activate, and I just thought that they just got better and better throughout the game. I thought it was very rewarding. I really love that aspect.
Yeah, I love that it kind of ramps up throughout the game. It's a really nice feeling, and yeah, speaking of the one that like can swap and whatever, I think even like one of Michaela's last actions was to take one of those or to activate one of the or trigger that and be able to trigger all of them. They were all three of them were ones that could swap, and she swapped out for all the ones that allowed her to kind of get rid of her remaining resources. I think it was her last turn.
Yeah.
And get points for doing that, so you give it to another player and get a couple points. And she was able to do that like 3 times because it was late in the game and you had pretty much any dragon you wanted to move into that spot. So, that was really, really cool how it could play out. And like you said, I felt like there were times where you wanted to activate each individual type. I don't think I don't remember there being one that I was like, I really don't want that one.
Yeah.
So I think there was always a good point where you'd need one or another. So.
Yeah, and I think the player interaction of when you go to a spot where someone is and you can give them a resource, you have to give them a resource to each one that's already there, which it never got too stacked up at a single location because they only have like a few spots open, so it's not like everyone can just keep going there and adding their things. It could happen, but it didn't happen. I think at most we maybe had 3 there. 3 at a spot once, so they had to pay 2 resources. But even that, I feel you get enough resources where it's not like, that really messes things up, and I have to pay a resource here, or a dragon can give a resource. I felt it worked. It didn't hurt to have to do that, and especially when you do get the points for it, it feels worth it. Where I feel in other games, when you're doing that stuff, it just feels so negative having to give up things to an occupied spot.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It didn't feel that bad in this game in comparison to a lot of other ones that do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess were there any other major things you thought of?
I like the scoring cards. I thought that they added a nice level to the game, which I didn't think would be there.
Yeah, I think they definitely all worked, but some definitely seemed. I don't know if, and I'm not saying they were unbalanced or anything, but some just seemed easier to do to complete than others, but I don't. If it's one play, so I'm not going to start claiming that they're unbalanced or any of that, but just sometimes seem like that seems a lot easier to get the points from than what I had to do and turn in a bunch of resources, whereas you didn't have to turn in anything and you got the same amount of points or close or whatever, and it's like, I don't know about that. Yeah. But I think it was situationally possibly the reason why that worked for, I think, think it was Carson that had scored a card or something.
Oh, yeah.
It might have just been the situation it worked, whereas it might not always work like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I could see that.
But, yeah, I would say after one play, I'm probably coming in, just initial thoughts, probably, I don't know, between a 7.5 to an 8. I liked a lot of what it was all doing. I'm just wondering, like, long term, if it would be one that I'd want to be playing over and over and over
yeah.
again. I'm not 100% sure yet. I think I definitely have to play some more. I could see this one going up or down for me. I'm not 100% sure. I don't
Yeah.
think it would ever. It'd probably still be right around. At worst, it would still be an average game for me.
Yeah.
Which I usually, a lot of my average is right around a 7. So I think that's where it would land at worst.
Yeah, it's hard. I'd go probably an 8.75, up to maybe a 9. And I would like to try it more and just see, because there are a lot of locations that you can go
That's
and
true.
kind of choose one from a set for like each of the 6 additional spots that you can unlock. Because once you fill one of the locations, you open up a new one that'll be there. And I'm interested as to the kind of how different those games are going to feel. I felt like the pacing was really good as well as to when those are revealed and opened up. It kind of just kept the options open. But yeah, and we played at the max player count
Yeah.
at 5, and I would not recommend that as the usual player count for this.
Yeah, that probably
Um,
was a little bit too. I think that is a little bit long for what the game
yeah.
is.
Yeah, I think so.
But it still plays well at 5. You're going to
Yeah.
get the same experience. It's
It's
just going to be a longer experience.
It's surprisingly little chaos.
Right.
Because you would think, oh, 4 more players going in between you, it's going to be completely different. There's games where it's like that. I didn't see it in here. Like, I could still get
Yeah.
what I wanted when it came around to my turn, where in a lot of other games, if there's that many people between your turns, it's going to be a completely different board state. But
Yeah,
this one
that's
actually was actually pretty good with that, but
Mhm.
it is very long because people are taking their turns. It's more people
Right.
taking their turns, and for what the game is,
Right.
I think it should be a little shorter. I would recommend maybe 4 max. Probably sweet spot 3 or maybe 2. 2 would probably be pretty good. I don't know how upgraded those actions
Yeah.
would get.
That's true, too. I don't know if... Yeah. I would say 3 to 4 is probably going to be the sweet
Yeah.
spot on this one.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Otherwise, you can check out... We'll have an unboxing video so you can see all the goodies in this one. So you can check that video out. Otherwise, we hope to see you on that video. And as always, don't forget to...
Keep on nibbling.
on our content.